Okay, just a little disappointed. Made this thing yesterday, and as you can see, this part broke off in the mold. Gorilla Glue. See? Okay, well, we've got some crystals here that kind of came through. It looks flawed. All right, the idea was right, but it looks flawed. Okay, gonna have to do better than that. That and the mold that I used wasn't releasing properly. Okay, so it's time to do something else. Time to do something else, and we'll get right on that. Okay, I think this is going to work out. A little miniaturization, and I think we get a little bit of style in there. Far cry different from that, but I think we're on the right course. Okay, this stuff looks like it's gelled. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with this one here. Just set it in like that. And this one's going to be the tricky one. Let's see, where are we? I'm going to set this one down just like... Come on. Okay. Give me a hard time. Okay. Now we're ready for the second pour. Okay. We just poured the second pour. Those things that you see are in suspension right now. We'll wait for this to settle down a little bit before we do our third and last pour. I made a little bit extra, better to have a little too much than a little not enough, so I put it in this next one over here. The thing is, when you're using these things, when you're doing this sort of thing, Vaseline works real good. You smear that stuff in there, then you wipe it out with a paper towel or something. The Vaseline's going to stick to it like a film. Okay, the round of these little molds here makes it easier to get out. But if you put on a thick coat of Vaseline, you're going to get the impression of the Vaseline in there because the resin's not going to go through that. Wiping it off still leaves a slick Vaseline to it, but it's going to come out a little bit more perfect. It's going to look like glass as opposed to a bunch of plastic thrown together. We'll let this settle. We'll let this solidify a little bit, and we'll just take it from there. Okay, just did the final pour. I think it's going to come out better than the last time. If you take a look at that, black iron oxide, some key dust, brass. That's what gives it the sparkly look to it. And I had some left over, so I put it in this one. All right, so that's going to be kind of interesting when it comes out. I still might put a couple of crystals in here just for the hell of it. But this is going on the car. I'll show you when I get done with that. But here, you can see the little flakes of metal in here right now. I suppose I should have thrown some gold in there. I had some laying around. Oh well. We'll let this cure and see what we came up with. Okay, I pulled this mold out this morning. As you can see, we got some flaws going on. All right. What I ended up doing is taking this this ring, reducing it by half, making it a quarter royal cubit, and I just made a smaller hedica. Okay, which is basically enough water for a half a cubit. The only thing I think of is reducing the hedica a little bit more. Okay, but taking another tact, I don't like the flaws that this thing has. You could see them in there. Expansion and contraction gave these things internal flaws, sort of like a ghost. Okay, that's inside there. Not all that crazy about it, but I had some leftover stuff that I put in another one of those things. And it kind of looks like this. Now I'm starting to think, of course I'll have to make a new one. Got an imperfection in there. But I'm starting to think what I need to do is build a couple of those, okay, as the top piece. Instead of, putting down the first layer, then the second layer of clear with this thing, on top of the first layer, followed by regular resin. Okay, um, I think the regular resin cures a lot faster, and that could have contributed to the fissures inside there. That's a possibility. All right. It's also a possibility that I used too much accelerant. I kind of doubt that. It took hours for this thing to cure. And, in order to compress the crystals, you want a faster set time. I'm starting to think that maybe I should build a couple of these things for the top cap in place of the first layer. Okay, and then go from there. And see what I have. Uh, Maybe just encasing these things in here first and then adding the last layer, which is pretty much thick. Using regular resin, Bondo or something like that. This is going to heat up quite a bit. Maybe if I make one of these first, all right, followed by setting it in there and then continuing with the last pour, all right, might be able to, make it work a little bit better. We'll see. I'm going to have to figure out how I could dam that up so I don't have leakage around the outside of it. All right. Um, and I did give it a top coat. Okay. What I did is I put some resin in one of these holes, pretty much like the way I did this. And then just took this thing, flawed as it was, and set it inside that so it oozed out all over. This is basically clear resin on the bottom side of this, you know. As well as a portion around the outside. I don't know if you can see that, but like I say, it's still flawed. I'm not happy with it, but it's better than the first one. Each step is a step in the right direction. Next one might pay off. All we could do is repeat the experiment, try something different. Okay, that's about as finished product as it's going to get. As you can see, I have it on the back of the car. This used to be where the Ford emblem was. Um, I decided not to put Ford back on there. I mounted this one in its place. The tricky part to this is mounting the threaded rod in the back to go through the panel. I tried a number of different things. Okay, what seems to work best is a combination of super glue and baking soda. Go figure. Makes a perfect cement. But that's it's kind of nice. I had to put cork on the back here. It's still not done. I'm still going to have to touch this up. The reason for this is, sitting on the back here, I also have one in the front. Have a couple more on the inside of the car. Uh, let's see how it affects my gas mileage. Let's see if I manage to get more green lights than red lights. Um, Besides, it doesn't look like it belongs to a Ford. You know, just something to do. Something. I mean, working out some details. Uh, And just like any kind of experimentation, you're gonna have problems here and there. But yeah, it worked out okay. Next one's gonna be better. and it just keeps getting better than that. And we'll see what happens in the next project.